Why do we treat our health like a roof we only fix when it's already raining? We wait for the diagnosis, for the number on the screen to be read, for the doctor to use a word like chronic or concerned. And when it comes to blood sugar, we, especially as we gather more years, more wisdom, more life, we seem to walk right past the solution. We see the check engine light on our body's dashboard, and we just keep driving. Why? Why is something so mechanically simple, so biologically elegant, so profoundly ignored? It's one of the great paradoxes of modern health. We have the knowledge, we have the tools, but we're standing in the garage, looking at the flat tire, and deciding to walk instead. This isn't a story about a complex, incurable disease. This is a story about a misunderstanding, a story about an invitation. It's about a river running through you, your bloodstream, and how over time we've forgotten how to manage its flow. We've been told it's about restriction, about no, about giving things up. We've been told it's complicated, a matter of genetic destiny or pharmaceutical necessity. But what if it's simpler? What if the fix isn't a silver bullet, but a series of small, almost invisible course corrections? What if the secret isn't in the medicine cabinet, but in the rhythm of your day? We're going to explore that today. We're going to look at the elegant machinery of your own body and discover not a cure, but a remembering of how we were designed to work. Because the truth is, managing your blood sugar isn't a puzzle, it's a habit. And it's one we've been subtly, quietly, and collectively encouraged to forget. But today, we remember. We're not talking about extreme diets or punishing exercise. We're talking about the flow of energy, as natural and fundamental as a river flowing to the sea. The problem is, for many of us, that river is dammed up. The glucose, the simple sugar that fuels our every thought, our every movement, our every heartbeat, is stuck. It's in the bloodstream, yes, but it can't get where it needs to go, inside the cells, inside the muscle, inside the brain. It's like a crowd of people outside a locked stadium, all holding tickets, all waiting to get in and power the main event, but the gates just won't open. And what is the gatekeeper? Insulin. We've all heard the word, but do we truly understand its role? It's not a fuel, it's a key. After you eat, that river of glucose rises. Your pancreas, that brilliant little organ, releases a set of keys, insulin. These keys travel through the bloodstream, they find the locks on your cell walls, we call them receptors, and they turn. Click. The gates open, and the glucose floods in, nourishing the cell, and the river level in your bloodstream goes back down. Beautiful, simple, efficient. This is how it's supposed to work. This is the divine engineering of 1 billion years of evolution. So what goes wrong? Why does the river overflow, leading to that diagnosis of high blood sugar or type 2 diabetes? The common narrative is that the pancreas gets tired, it stops making enough keys, and for some that's part of the story. But for the vast, vast majority of us, especially in the early stages, that's not the problem at all. The pancreas is working overtime. The bloodstream is flooded with keys. The problem isn't the key. The problem is the lock. It's rusted. Think about it. If you yell at someone every single day, all day long, what happens? They stop listening. They tune you out. This is what our cells do. When we keep our blood sugar and our insulin levels high, day after day, year after year, with constant grazing, with meals high in processed carbohydrates, with a lifestyle that sends a constant, screaming signal, the cells, in an act of self-preservation, become deaf to the signal. They become insulin resistant. The locks get gummed up. The key is there, it's jamming itself into the lock, but it just won't turn. The gates stay closed. The glucose stays in the river. The crowd outside the stadium gets larger, more frustrated, more toxic. And your pancreas, bless its heart, sees the rising water and thinks, we don't have enough keys, so it makes more and more. And now you have high blood sugar and high insulin, a state of metabolic chaos that is the root cause of so much of what we call aging. This is the core of the problem. It's not a failure of production, it's a failure of reception. It's a communication breakdown at the cellular level. And this, right here, is why it's so often ignored, because in the beginning, you don't feel it. It's a silent siren. You feel a little tired after lunch. You feel a bit fuzzy in the afternoon. You crave more carbs, more sugar, because even though your blood is full of fuel, your cells are starving. They're sending desperate feed me signals to the brain, and the brain only knows one way to answer. And so, the cycle continues, the locks get rustier, and the river rises higher. Until one day, the doctor looks at the number and gives it a name. But the name isn't the problem. The name is just a label for a system that has been pushed out of balance, a conversation that is broken down. And if it's a communication problem, doesn't that mean we can fix it by changing the conversation? Doesn't that mean we can perhaps polish the locks? This is where the simple part comes in. And it's so simple, we argue ourselves out of it. We think, it can't be that easy. If it were, my doctor would have prescribed it. But your doctor can't prescribe a lifestyle. They can only prescribe what fits on a prescription pad. The first, simple, ignored solution, it's not about what you eat. It's about when you move. No, not a 5-mile run, not a sweaty hour-long gym session. We're talking about a 10-minute walk. That's it. But when? Right after you eat. Why? Remember those locked gates? Remember how insulin is the key? Well, your muscles, your big, beautiful skeletal muscles in your legs and in your back and in your arms have a special entrance. They have a special glucose gate called a GLUT4 transporter, for the scientifically curious, that doesn't need a key. It doesn't care about insulin. It only cares about one thing, contraction. When you move, when you contract that muscle, these special gates fly open and start pulling glucose out of the bloodstream like a siphon. They are a vacuum cleaner for blood sugar.
So imagine, you've just finished your meal. The glucose river is rising. The rusted insulin locks are barely working. But instead of sitting on the couch, letting that river rise to flood levels, you simply get up. You walk around the living room. You walk to the end of the block and back. You do some dishes for just 10 minutes. In that tiny window of time, you have manually opened the spillway. You are bypassing the entire broken system. You are taking that excess glucose and feeding it directly to your muscles to be burned for energy, or stored locally as glycogen, a tiny healthy battery pack for later. You are single-handedly lowering the floodwaters without a single pill. You are giving your pancreas a break. You are giving your rusted locks a rest, a moment to hear the silence, which is the first step in regaining their sensitivity. Is this revolutionary? It's profoundly simple. And yet, how many of us do it? We call it postprandial exercise, but it's just an after-dinner stroll. It's the way our grandparents lived, not because they knew about GLUT4 transporters, but because it was the natural rhythm of life. We've engineered this simple, powerful habit right out of our modern existence, and we are paying the price. If this idea is hitting home for you, if it feels like a light bulb just went on, just hit that like button. It's a small signal, but it tells me we're connecting, that this simple truth is resonating, and maybe, just maybe, it's the first step in a new direction for you. This one simple change, this 10-minute walk, can lower the blood sugar spike from a meal by 20, 30, even 40%. It's not a small effect. It's a massive lever, and it's just sitting there, waiting for us to pull it. We ignore it because it feels not enough. Our brains are wired for the grand gesture, the expensive solution, the dramatic overhaul. We don't trust the simple. We don't trust the gentle. But in biology, it's almost always the gentle, consistent rhythm that wins the day. Now, let's talk about those locks, that insulin resistance. Polishing those rusted cellular locks is the long-term game. The walk is the immediate relief, but the deeper healing is about restoring that cellular conversation. This is where science gets fascinating, where we find that nature has provided certain agents, helpers, compounds hidden in plain sight in barks and leaves and roots that seem to have an innate intelligence for this very problem. Researchers, in this desperate search for solutions beyond just more insulin, have been looking at how a cell becomes resistant, and they've found that certain natural molecules can interact with the signaling pathways inside the cell, helping to clean up the noise, to amplify the whisper of the insulin key, to essentially help polish the lock. It's an area of science that's exploding, moving beyond just managing the symptoms, the high sugar, and starting to address the mechanism, the resistance. And what they have discovered is truly, breathtakingly revolutionary. A specific combination of these natural elements, a sort of cellular tuning fork, has shown an incredible ability to support the body's natural insulin sensitivity. It's not a drug. It's not a replacement. It's a facilitator. It's like a guide that reminds the cell how it's supposed to function. It's an incredibly exciting new way of thinking. I can't go into the details here. We'd be here all day, and the science is deep, but it's so compelling, so of the earth, that I had to mention it. It's this idea of using nature's wisdom to restore our own. For those whose curiosity is sparked, who want to see what this new avenue of research looks like, I've put a link in the first pinned comment. Just take a look. It's one of those wow moments in health science, a genuine breakthrough that feels like it's aligning with how our bodies actually want to heal, rather than just forcing a number down. Click that link when you have a moment. It's an incredible piece of the puzzle. Okay, so we have our first simple fix, the 10-minute walk, the immediate spillway. We've also just touched on the deeper science, the future of cellular support, which is waiting for you in that pinned comment. But what about the cause of the spike itself? What about the food? This is where the narrative usually goes to, don't eat carbs. But that's a story of deprivation, and it's not the whole truth. What if I told you it's not just what you eat, but the order in which you eat it? This is the second simple, ignored fix, and it's so elegant. It's almost funny. The science is clear. The order of your macronutrients has a massive, immediate, and profound impact on your blood sugar and insulin response. Imagine your stomach as a waiting room, and the small intestine as the gate to the bloodstream. If you send a flood of simple carbohydrates, bread, pasta, sugar, down first, it's like sending a tidal wave at the gate. It bursts through, floods the bloodstream, and triggers a massive glucose spike and the corresponding insulin panic. But what if you sent something else down first? What if you sent the fiber and the protein and the fat first? What if for the first 5 minutes of your meal, you only ate the salad, the non-starchy vegetables, the piece of chicken or fish? What happens? That fiber, that protein, that fat, they form a kind of protective mesh or gel in your stomach. They slow down gastric emptying. They are the gatekeepers. Then, when you eat the carbohydrates, the pasta, the bread, the potato, they don't hit the bloodstream like a tidal wave. They have to get in line. They are slowly, gently, steadily released into the bloodstream over a much longer period. The result? The exact same meal, eaten in a different order, produces a dramatically smaller, gentler, more manageable glucose curve instead of a spike. We're talking reductions of up to 75% in the post-meal spike. 75% from the same food. This isn't a theory. This is a well-studied, well-documented physiological fact. Eat your vegetables first. Eat your protein first. Save your starches and sugars for last. It costs nothing. It requires no special food. It's a simple cognitive reordering of your plate. And yet, we ignore it. We dive into the breadbasket. We mix it all together in a single bite. Why? Because no one told us. Because it seems too simple to be true. We are so fixated on what to remove, we've forgotten to ask if we can just rearrange. Think about your next meal. What's the plan? Could you start with the broccoli? Could you eat the salmon before the rice? What if you tried it just once? What if you found that you didn't have that food coma an hour later? That you didn't have that desperate craving for something sweet at 3 p.m.? That's the feeling of stable blood sugar. That's the feeling of the river flowing gently, not flooding. It's a sense of calm, sustained energy. And it's available to you right now, just by changing the sequence of your fork. It's a game changer. Is this resonating? I'm curious. Drop a comment below. What's your go-to meal, and how could you reorder it tonight to try this? Let's workshop this together as a community, because sharing these simple strategies is how we all get better. And if you're finding this valuable, if you're feeling that aha moment, do me a favor and tap that subscribe button. We're just scratching the surface here. We're pulling on a thread that unwinds so much of what we've been told about health, and I'd love for you to be part of this journey of discovery.
So, we have movement, we have food order. These are powerful physical levers. But what about the invisible forces? This brings us to the third, simple, and perhaps most ignored fix. Sleep. Sleep. The great restorer. Or, for many of us, the great casualty of modern life. We treat it like a luxury. We get by on 5 or 6 hours. We wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor. But your biology does not care about your deadlines. Your biology has a non-negotiable contract with sleep. And when it comes to blood sugar, this contract is written in stone. Let me be as clear as I possibly can be. Poor sleep is a direct cause of high blood sugar. It's not just a correlation, it's a causation. Just one night of partial sleep, just one, has been shown in clinical studies to make your cells as insulin resistant as a person with type 2 diabetes. Let me say that again. One night of bad sleep. Why? Because sleep is not a passive off switch. It's an active, critical repair and reset cycle. It's when your body's hormonal orchestra tunes itself. It's when your brain cleans house, washing away toxic byproducts. And it's when your entire metabolic system recalibrates. When you don't sleep, or don't sleep deeply, you wake up in a state of hormonal chaos. Your fight or flight hormone cortisol is elevated, and cortisol's job is to keep you alert and fueled for a perceived danger. How does it fuel you? It screams at your liver, "Release glucose, we're in danger." So before you've even had a sip of coffee, your liver is dumping sugar into your bloodstream. But that's not all. That same hormonal imbalance makes your fat cells more resistant to insulin, and your muscle cells less able to take up glucose. You wake up, having eaten nothing, with high blood sugar and compromised machinery. You are starting your day in a metabolically broken state. And that breakfast you're about to eat, you are now physiologically incapable of handling it properly. The spike will be higher. The insulin response will be more sluggish. The entire day becomes an uphill battle against a hormonal hurricane that started at 3 a.m. We blame the bagel, but it was the sleep. We blame our slowing metabolism, but it was the sleep. We look for a pill, a supplement, a diet, but we ignore the most powerful, free, metabolic drug on the planet: a good night's rest. Why do we ignore it? Because it's hard. Because it's wrapped up in anxiety, in habit, in the glow of the screens we take to bed. It's simple, but it's not easy. Fixing your sleep is perhaps the most profound act of metabolic self-care you can engage in. It means setting boundaries. It means making your bedroom a sanctuary, dark, cool, and quiet. It means turning off the news, putting down the phone, and allowing your mind to unspool. It means honoring a rhythm that is as old as the Earth's rotation. And the effect on your blood sugar? It's almost immediate. When you sleep well, you wake up sensitive. Your cells are listening. The locks are clean. The river is calm. You are metabolically flexible, ready to take on the day's energy. You have the capacity to handle that meal. So the fix isn't just about the food. It's about the 10-minute walk after the food. It's about the order of the food. And it's about the 8 hours of restorative sleep you got before the food. You see, it's a system. It's an ecosystem. And we've been trying to fix one part of it while ignoring the rest. It's like trying to fix a flooding river by building one tiny dam, while ignoring the torrential rain, the blocked spillways, and the broken levees upstream. This brings us to the fourth and final piece of this simple puzzle, the one we really ignore, especially as we get older and carry the accumulated weight of a life lived. Stress. The silent partner to poor sleep, the invisible hand that cranks up the glucose faucet. We talked about cortisol, that danger hormone in the context of sleep, but what about waking stress? The 24-hour news cycle, the worry about kids or grandkids, the financial pressure, the low-grade simmering anxiety of a world that feels like it's spinning too fast. To your body, to your ancient million-year-old biology, this is a clear and present danger. Your nervous system does not know the difference between a tiger in the bushes and a terrifying email from your boss. The physiological response is identical. Alarm, adrenaline, cortisol. And what did we say cortisol does? It screams at the liver, release glucose, run, fight. Your body is flooding your own bloodstream with sugar in the total absence of food. This is the fix we never talk about. You can have a perfect diet, you can eat your salad first, you can walk after every meal, you can sleep 8 hours, but if you are living in a state of chronic, unresolved stress, you are still fighting an uphill battle. You are pouring sugar into your own river, and your body, trying to manage this internal stress-driven glucose spike, has to release insulin. And what does that do? It makes the locks rustier. It drives the cycle. It tells your body to store fat, especially around the middle. Visceral fat, which is itself a little factory for inflammatory, stress-promoting chemicals. It's a devastating feedback loop. And we ignore it. We power through. We manage. We tell ourselves it's just part of life. And as seniors, there's a particular flavor to this. The stress of retirement, of new roles, of health worries, of a world changing around you. It's real. And it has a real, physical, measurable effect on your blood sugar.
So what's the simple fix? This is where it gets profound. The fix is breath. The fix is a 5-minute meditation. The fix is sitting in nature. The fix is gratitude. The fix is connecting with a loved one. The fix is anything that signals to your ancient nervous system, the tiger is gone, you are safe, you can power down. The simple act of taking 5 slow, deep in through the nose, long out through the mouth breaths can literally, measurably, immediately shift your nervous system out of fight or flight, sympathetic, and into rest and digest, parasympathetic. In that rest and digest state, the cortisol signal turns off. The liver stops dumping sugar. The pancreas can take a breath. The cells can finally unlock their doors and let the fuel in. Your entire physiology shifts from storage and panic to repair and receive. This isn't woo-woo. This is a hardwired biological toggle switch. And you have your finger on it 24/7, and we ignore it. We reach for the cookie. We pour another cup of coffee. We turn on the TV to numb out.
We do anything but send the all-clear signal. Why? Because it feels passive. It feels like doing nothing. And we are a culture of doing. But in the world of your metabolism, doing nothing, intentionally, breathing deeply, finding calm, that is the most active and powerful doing you can accomplish. So let's put it all together. Let's look at the fix that's been sitting in front of us all along. It's not one thing. It's the system. It's the simple, elegant, interconnected web of habits that our modern lives have shredded, and that we can, with gentle intention, weave back together. The fix is realizing your body is a river, not a machine. You don't fix a river. You guide its flow. You clear the blockages. You respect its power. You do this by moving your body, especially after you eat, opening the secret gates in your muscles. You do this by reordering your plate, using fiber and protein as your internal traffic cops to slow the flow. You do this by sleeping deeply, allowing the nightly repair crew to come in, clean the locks, and tune the orchestra. And you do this by breathing, by finding moments of stillness, telling your body, we're safe, and turning off the internal stress sugar faucet. That's it. That's the simple part. It's simple, but it's not easy. And it's ignored precisely because it's simple. It's ignored because it doesn't come in a bottle, though as we touched on, new science is finding ways to support this process, which you can see in that pinned comment. It's ignored because it asks for one thing we're so reluctant to give: attention. It asks us to participate in our own health, not as a patient, but as a caretaker. It asks us to be mindful. And that, in our noisy, distracting, quick-fix world, is the hardest skill of all. But it's also where our true power lies. The power isn't in the pill. It's in the pause. The pause to walk for 10 minutes. The pause to eat the salad first. The pause to turn off the screen and honor your sleep. The pause to take one deep, calming breath. This is the work. And it's the most rewarding work you will ever do. It's the journey from being a passive passenger in a body that feels like it's failing to being the active, engaged, wise pilot of a system that wants to heal. Your body is not your enemy. It's not fighting you. It's just drowning. And these simple fixes are the life rafts. They're the gentle, steady signals that say, I hear you, I'm here, let's find our balance again. The river wants to flow. Your cells want to be nourished. Your body is hardwired for homeostasis, for health. We just have to stop and listen and get out of its way. We have to stop ignoring the profound wisdom of the simple. This is the paradigm shift. This is the fix. It's not a secret. It's a remembering. And it's available to every single one of us starting right now. I hope this conversation has sparked something. I hope it's given you a new lens, a new sense of possibility, a new feeling of control. Because you are in control. The levers are right in front of you. Which one will you pull first? What's the one simple thing you'll try today? Share it in the comments. Let's make a commitment together. Your story, your small step, could be the inspiration someone else needs to take theirs. And if this resonated, truly, hit that like button and subscribe. We're building a community here based on discovery, empowerment, and the belief that our bodies are our own and they are worth listening to. Now, we've spent this time talking about the sugar river, but there's another river running alongside it just as critical and just as misunderstood: your blood pressure. The two are deeply, inextricably linked. The same forces that cause the sugar river to flood also cause the pressure river to burst its banks. And there are foods, simple, everyday, healthy foods, that are secretly spiking that pressure. It's the next critical piece of the puzzle. That's why I've queued up our next video for you. The 8 worst foods spiking your blood pressure. It should be appearing on your screen right now. Click it. Let's keep this journey going. Let's learn how to care for the whole system. Thank you for your time, for your attention. Be well,
and be mindful.